What's going on, everybody? Here for segment number 3 is Mike Zuber from One Rental Time. Mike, how's it going, my friend?
It's going good, man. This is an important topic.
Very.
I hope we change people's mindsets with this one, because this is an important conversation.
It really is. And what Mike's really segueing into is we talk often on the Three Amigos Facebook group that is a invite only group, but we do talk a lot on those pages. And what we see people posting and talking about is, want to be rich. Of course, I get it. Everybody wants to be rich. Mm-hmm. Some people understand the difference and want to get wealthy. Mm-hmm. But I think the key is I think so often people don't understand and haven't really put their life to the test to really understand what wealthy actually could be. And I think that that's what we wanted to try and cover in this segment today, was really understanding what wealth could possibly be and what that really looks like. Because I think if many people can be a lot happier if they just reset their expectations and understand it's not nearly the effort that they think it's going to be. Exactly. Sure, it's effort, but it's not nearly the effort they think it's going to be. So unpack that a little for us, Mike, and talking about kind of that difference as you see it.
Yeah, so this is something I've come to later in life. This is something I wish I appreciated earlier. So I admit that I did not live this. When I was growing up, to me, it was always I wanted to be a millionaire. Why $1 million? Because it was what Wall Street talked about. Then I got a job and I wanted to make 6 figures, right? It was all these kind of things that led to rich. Now what I want to talk about is I think people should not aim to be rich. I want people to aim to be wealthy. So what does wealthy mean? Wealthy to me means you have income coming in that far exceeds your expenses. Okay, great. That's a great statement. Put some numbers on it. The crazy thing, and the thing if I would have understood this as an 18-year-old high school senior, I would have never gone to college. I would have never got an advanced degree. If I could simply set up my life where my expenses were $2,000 and I had a place to live and food and that. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't like a miser. And then I focused on earning $5,000 a month passive income, I would be wealthy. Yeah. I didn't need to be a millionaire. I didn't need to make 6 figures. Mm-hmm. Again, folks, it doesn't, and I'm using $5,000 a month passive income and $2,000 because I think everybody can do it. Yeah. For me, again, I've now proven it in 3 or 4 different ways. So again, obviously my story, one rental at a time, make a lot more than that with rental, real net cash flow. Second, I've written books now that now just do their thing and produce thousands of dollars a month. The YouTube channel. There are so many ways that if you can keep your life at $2,000 a month, you could be done. If you make $5,000 and you spend 2, you are wealthy. I want people to sit back and realize that. Yeah. And again, I think if you're a high school senior, you have the best time to monetize your hobbies and passions, as the lumberjack says. It is, again, I had no concept of any of this. Everything I've done with one rental at a time was not a plan. It was a guy that knows how to work. I'm a hammer. I just keep moving forward. And the book took off, the YouTube took off, the course took off. Now I have a podcast that I spent $1,000 a month creating that now has 100,000 listens and is paying me back. It's just focus on your hobbies and passion, and you could really monetize that. Real estate can obviously get you to $5,000. Again, wealthy to me, make 5, spend 2, you are wealthy. Stop trying to be rich, be wealthy.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I think a lot of times too, Mike, I think what's really interesting is that as people kind of get on this path, everybody wants 100 units.
100 units, $1 million. These are numbers that you hear. And again, I freely admit I was that person. Mm-hmm. I am now here, and $1 million net worth and 100 units means squat. Tell me about the bottom line. Stop telling me you're an LP and you own 1 unit, not 400. Monetize your passions with YouTube and books and Etsy and all these other amazing things. You focus on your freaking monthly expenses. Stop trying to flex for the Joneses, and you could be wealthy a hell of a lot faster than you think. Stop being stupid with money.
Totally agree. So it's certainly, like we always talk about, there's the spend side, right? And then there's the revenue side. And the revenue side, what actually is your net revenue, what actually gets to the bottom. Guys like us that have run businesses before, this is something that we understand.
Yeah, stop talking about these numbers. I want that bottom number.
Yeah, I want the bottom number, because the big number doesn't matter. It only matters how much gets to the bottom line. That's all that matters.
Yeah, ask Evergrande.
Yes, exactly. I think the other key to this too, though, is that, I've seen people's life change with not 20 units, but 2.
Yeah, dude, that's why I talk about four.
Yeah.
Right? First off, why do I pick 4? Well, there was a time that was all the loans you can get, freely admit.
Sure.
Second, everybody I've ever asked, can you get to 4 in a decade? Everybody says yes.
Exactly.
Great. Let's do that. And then if you get to 4 and you want to get to 10, great. Let's do that.
Yep.
But stop talking about 100. And if you freaking come to me at 1,000 and you own 0, I probably won't give you my time. It's just like, you don't get it. Yeah. You don't even have 1 yet. You're talking about 1,000. It's
Right.
just crazy.
It's definitely a stepping stone process. People definitely that get into it, they don't know what they don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the key to this is, it's like, I have seen, one deal that I was working on was with a mechanic and a waitress.
Mhm.
That was the couple. They're a mechanic and a waitress. They're in their 50s, and they had bought in my town 20 years ago.
Oh, score.
Total score. The crazy thing is, they were literally going to they could literally walk away from those properties with hundreds of thousands of dollars. They just didn't want to be landlords anymore.
Yeah.
They could walk with,
Yeah.
it's a waitress and a mechanic. And it's not that's not a commentary on their jobs. It's a commentary on how much they make at their jobs.
Yeah.
Which is years of take home, years of above the pale money that Mike, completely life-changing, 2 duplexes. That's it.
Done.
2 duplexes.
I'm so happy for them.
This completely
time in the market beats timing the market.
It's almost like I've heard that before.
It's almost like you said it before.
It's a few times, but this is what I'm saying is, time in the market so much better than timing the market. And over the course of time, listen, we are overdue for a correction in the market. Yes, absolutely. Typically, it's supposed to be 7 or 8 years. And I think it's been 12 now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, are we overdue? Absolutely. But here's what I can tell you. There's always going to be ebbs and flows to it. It always recovers. In 2008, Mike, how many people thought the housing market was going to recover? Almost nobody. And that's why Mike brings up a great point in other past videos where he was saying, hey, when that property that I sold for 270 that was then worth 300, at 150 there were buyers, at 100K there were buyers, at 75 everyone disappeared.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
Yeah.
It was bizarre because, again, I was buying the whole time, right? As soon as it got to my numbers, I was buying again, and it kept falling. Again, I didn't care. My loans were fixed. They couldn't call a loan. I'm good, right? They cash flowed. I just bought the next one better. It was really bizarre. There was a lot of competition at 150, a little bit more at 100. Everybody was freaking gone at 75. I don't know where people went. It was the bizarrest thing. I'm like,
I think it was,
what's going on here? Where's everybody at?
I think it was really 2 things. One was, I think there were a lot of buyers that couldn't get the credit.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Yeah, because I was using private. I'd raised private money. Yeah.
Right. So this
banks were gone. Yeah.
Yeah. This is something that's in Mike's course that everybody needs to know, because when that correction does happen, guess what? We know what that's like.
Yeah. Banks get weird.
Yeah. We had high 700 credit scores. We had 6-figure W-2 jobs. We had, massive inflows coming from our existing rental properties. Mm-hmm. All those things we still couldn't get loans. Banks still wouldn't lend to us.
Yeah, it was weird. So again, now that you bring this up, right? So there was a bank that did a loan for me at 150. They were fine. Yep. The bank did not want to do a loan in the similar area with a similar house at 75. They thought that was more risky. I'm like, how? Huh?
Yeah. What? And cash flow is the same, right? Cash flow of the property is about the same.
No, well, cash flow is a lot more at 75 grand than 150.
Gross cash flow.
Oh,
yeah,
gross.
Gross cash flow. So for them,
I didn't get it. It was bizarre. It was the weirdest time. It was crazy. Yeah. So I just went and I did hard money, a couple of loans, which was crazy expensive. And then I just raised private money. It's all in the course. Yeah, it's crazy.
This is something that's critical in the course, because when the market does shift, when that does happen, here's what I can promise you. There's going to be guys like Mike. There's going to be guys like me who are liquid. We are ready to buy those things, and we can close them in 10 days.
Every time.
10 days. So if there's a deal that we haven't touched in the markets that we're in, guess what? It's not as good of a deal as the other deals that we're getting. It's that simple. So you will get a worse deal waiting. Now, the other thing that's going to happen too is those banks, largely speaking, that's the first time when there's a massive correction like that or any type of correction like that in the market, they stop lending because then they basically batten down the hatches. Yeah, they batten down the hatches. They look at the numbers and they just say, we most importantly need to preserve capital right now. And we do not know when or how this market's going to return. And so the one thing the banking industry hates is uncertainty.
Yeah. And again, I love the fact you brought this up because again, I remember banks lending at 150 and then they stopped at 75. It was the bizarre, like, how is the 75K house more risky than the 150? And it wasn't more risky. It's just that like no new loans. We got a bad book.
Yeah.
We've got a clean house. I remember driving home just perplexed, like 6-figure. I could buy the house cash if I had to. Right. Why aren't they lending to me? It was really weird.
I spent over 100 days trying to get one loan approved.
It was weird.
100 days to get one loan approved. And it was because they're like, well, you know, we're thinking about it. And it was one of the big 5 banks.
Yeah.
And it was because, again, we knew that they were in trouble. They were one of the ones that got massive TARP funds. They were in major financial trouble. And so they weren't lending on anything new. The crazy thing is that banks only make money when they're lending. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
So
bizarre.
Please, if you're trying to correlate this to either the stock market, that's completely different. If you're trying to correlate this to the crash in even 08 or 09, it's largely different, but the behavior of banks will always remain the same.
Yeah, banks are predictable now.
That's right. Because when they think that there's risk in the market, or when they think that there is something in the market that they don't know what's coming, they will almost always tighten, and they will tighten. The issue is how quickly they tighten.
Yeah, go back
in a day.
Go back to April of last year. People in the hard money and flipping business, lenders were gone in a day. There were people trying to close that couldn't close. You guys it's funny how all this repeats and then you guys forget, right? Right when we went down to the first lockdown, for about 3 months, there was no kind of non-QM or that other lending that all the flippers were using.
Yep.
It's instant when they get afraid.
I saw private money rates go from 8 to 18.
Oh yeah. Just
8 to 18 like that, because the 18 guy says the only one's willing to lend.
Yeah, exactly.
Take it at 18 or no. And I'm like, oh yeah, not. I'm just going to do this one for cash. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. I'm good.
So guys, we always want to bring value to you. We always want to add value to your journey. This is something that I think is super important, is understanding wealth, understanding riches, understanding that really is very few life adjustments to actually make to really put yourself in a position to be successful financially. We certainly believe that real estate is the way to do that. We're not giving advice to anybody. We're only sharing our stories to say, this is what we did. This is how we did it. We're literally giving you the game plan. And this is a game plan that doesn't just work in an up market.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that I hate about most of the channels on YouTube, is they're telling you this based on their vast experience of 4 years.
Yeah.
No one's lost in the last 4 years.
Yeah. You're talking to guys who got 40 or 50 years under their belt and have seen a couple of cycles.
Yes. He's saying combined. We're not that old.
No, well, I am. You're not. Yeah. But this is, it's going to be fun. The next 2 years will be harder than the last 2. And I am excited for it.
Mike, tell me the only way that people can prepare to win in the next 2 years versus lose. What's the most simple way in your eyes?
Well, they need to buy something that leverages inflation, something that wins with inflation with cheap 30-year debt. I suggest income producing assets that cash flow day one, because you win and then you win and then you win. Right.
And guys, what it really comes down to is understanding how to buy those, understanding what you're looking for in a deal, understanding what makes other real estate investors turn away from a deal and why you turn towards it. These are all the things. When markets get upset and there's chaos in the market, there become greater gaps in efficiency. So you're always looking for a lack of efficiency to get your best deal. That's why the last 5 deals I've done have been between 20 and 43% rate of return, 20 and 43% yield or cash on cash or return on capital. Those deals are really hard to find in a good in a market. I'm finding them now in these markets. Much of what I do is in Mike's course, one rental at a time. Get it now. It's so much value. It's over 80 hours. It's an absolutely stupendous course. And I'm a guy who has almost 100 units. I still take pieces of the course because you got to round out your game. You got to be in a position where you're turning as many conversations as you can into opportunities. And the best opportunities are often the ones that have strategies that are off the beaten path. And that's what I think Mike's course has done such a great job at. So Mike, anything else to add to this one?
No, just the other thing I would say is we're about to finish up 2021. A lot of you want to do some big things in 2022. My course relies on you doing work for 40 to 45 to 60 days. If you want to execute in 2022, you better buy now because it'll be a lot more expensive later. So your choice.
Couldn't agree more. As I always say, we spend a ton of time creating great content for you. 11 a.m. tomorrow, Eastern time, 8 a.m. Pacific, one rental at a time tomorrow for a 1-hour webcast or live stream, and 11:30 on Sunday, 3-hour webcast on my channel, Lumberjack Landlord. And then Tuesday, Dion, I believe he's still going at 5 o'clock Pacific time. 5 o'clock Pacific time. And Dion, you never know how long he's going to go. Depends on how long his voice holds up.
There you go.
So guys, please subscribe, hit that like button. And thanks, Mike, so much for your time. Have a great rest of your weekend, my friend.
You too, bud.